Ben Burns. This year, nearly 500,000 people participated in the white-tailed deer hunting season in Minnesota. That means nearly 1 in 10 people in Minnesota went deer hunting this year, according to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, the agency charged with conserving and managing Minnesota's natural resources. In the publication, What Provides Support for Antler Point Restrictions, published in 2019. Hunters each year have to throw away deer meat due to that deer being contaminated with chronic wasting disease. Chronic wasting disease has been proven to be transferable to domestic livestock such as cattle and horses. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources should remove the antler point restriction from white-tailed deer. First, I will talk about why the antler point restriction is a problem. Then I will talk about some of the solutions to this problem. First, let's talk about what an antler point restriction is. An antler point restriction is a restriction on the number of points that a deer can have. That means that the deer must have a certain number of points in order for you to be able to shoot it. In Minnesota, the antler point restriction is set at 4 points on one side. However, at times, deer can run up to 30 miles an hour. That speed, combined with the brush and undergrowth that grows in Minnesota's forests, can make it very difficult to see the deer's antlers, let alone count how many points they have. Michelle Green, a professor in the Department of Animal Sciences at the University of Illinois, from the Science Direct database, a digital storage location for scientific and medical research, published in 2014, stated that chronic wasting disease is a degenerative brain disease similar to mad cow disease. Chronic wasting disease is a deadly transmissible disease that can be found in white-tailed deer, mule deer, moose, and elk. Chronic wasting disease has a 100% fatality rate in the animals that get it, and it can be transferred either by the transfer of bodily fluids such as saliva, urine, and feces, and it is transferred either by direct touch or direct contact with one of those three things. According to Robert E. Raleigh, a DNR officer for Wisconsin's Department of Natural Resources, in the journal PLOS 1, published in 2014, stated that chronic wasting disease is nearly twice as prevalent in does as it is in bucks. Not only does chronic wasting disease affect deer individually, it affects the deer herd's health as a whole. The Western Association of Fishing and Wildlife Agencies, the group charged with conserving and managing the natural resources throughout the western half of the nation, in the report Understanding Mule Deer and Antler Point Restrictions, published in 2019, stated that antler point restrictions are statistically proven to reduce the number of trophy bucks in the whitetail population, due to all the older mature bucks being targeted and the young bucks being protected. Antler point restrictions are proven to reduce hunter participation. Hunter participation is reduced because hunters can be so discouraged because it can be so difficult for them to find illegal deer. In some places, deer genetics are very poor, and that causes the deer to have small antlers for most of their lives. Protecting deer like this is counterproductive to the point of an antler point restriction. According to Robert Pierce, a fishery and wildlife state specialist and professor at the University of Missouri, in the publication Antler Development in White-tailed Deer, published in 2018, stated that many states have removed antler point restrictions due to two main reasons. One, antler point restrictions have been proven to increase accidental illegal kill, and they increase harvest mortality for the exact part of the population that they aim to protect. Accidental illegal kill is when a hunter shoots a deer that is not a legal deer, meaning that it has less than the 4 points on one side. Accidental illegal kill. When accidental illegal kill occurs, usually a hunter will do one of two things. Usually is caused by one of two things. One, the hunter either thought the deer had more points than it did, or two, they didn't even see the deer's antlers at all, because like I said earlier, it can be so difficult to see them at times. Now that I've told you about the problem with antler point restrictions, let's talk about the solution. If we were to remove the antler point restriction on white-tailed deer, that would drastically reduce the number of diseased deer in the whitetail population. Currently, if a young deer has chronic wasting disease, that deer is protected by the antler point restriction. However, if we were to remove the antler point restriction, That would make that deer available to harvest, and we would be able to remove it from the population before it is able to spread that disease onto the other deer. It would increase hunter participation. Since hunters would be able to find more legal deer, they would then want to get back out into the woods and get some deer. It would better protect larger bucks. Since you would be able to shoot the young bucks again, and you only get one antler deer tag per season, that means that hunters would have to shoot some younger bucks, and that would mean that some of the older bucks would be left to go on for the next year. It would totally eliminate accidental illegal kill. If all the deer were legal to shoot, that would mean there is no accidental illegal kill to occur. First, I talked about why antler point restrictions are a problem. Then I talked about some of the possible solutions to this problem. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources should remove the antler point restriction on white-tailed deer. If we were to remove the antler point restriction on white-tailed deer, that would drastically reduce the number of diseased deer harvested by those 500,000 hunters each year and would completely eliminate accidental